You are listening to the Feed Podcast. To get your weekly fix, subscribe to us on iTunes or visit our website, thefeedpodcast.com.
Well, I know when you travel, you try to find a local chef or a handler or a fixer to help you out with an itinerary. Have you ever done just a tour?
Oh, gosh, yes.
Okay.
No, actually, I do that more than I find somebody to take me around. I'm really big on food tours. Every place I go, I'm always looking for a food tour there because I want to get to know those people because they know more about parts of the city than even maybe some of the chefs do because, let's face it, a chef will be going to his friends' places or maybe the producer of something that they use in the restaurant, which can be really interesting to me, but it may not give me the whole picture of what the food culture there is like. So I do work a lot with all the culinary tours, and it's pretty easy to just Google culinary tour and then a destination.
But there's one that you said is with locals.
This is the one that I think is really a fascinating thing. If you haven't worked with tours by locals, it's one of my go-tos. Now, it's almost always tour guides who have a passion about something, and they aren't necessarily like licensed tour guides. But if you want to know about the art galleries in Soho in New York, you can go on Tours by Locals and find somebody that leads tours. Now, they're all one-on-one tours, and they're very specialized. So you kind of have to go through a few pages of them. But I've found that if I just go into their search box and say food tours, something will pop up. And you'll either find that they're very basic, and that's not exactly what I'm looking for, or they're very focused on one thing. And I could say that I have found people all over the world doing tours by locals that have been really fascinating. Sometimes they even invite you into their house for a meal.
I've seen another company called If Only. They're doing tours. I see Airbnb is now offering experiences in their cities.
I saw that, yeah.
So people want to have kind of a curated, interesting local perspective on a
They
tour.
do, and not being on somebody's prepackaged tour. The one thing I like about tours by locals, you can reach out to the person and say, this is what I want to do. I'm looking at these kind of things, and then they'll just customize the tour for you.
Yeah, I did a little bit of both recently. Coming up on today's show, 4 different food tours across Southeast Asia, some walking, some driving, and others from the back of a Vespa. I'll tell you where we went, what we ate, and what we spent. A movable feast, to be sure. Stay with us. We're on the road with a big appetite. This is The Feed Podcast. I'm Steve Dolinsky, a food and travel reporter at ABC 7 News, the Chicago Tribune, and Canada's Globe and Mail.
And I'm Rick Bayless, the chef and owner of Chicago's Frontera Grill, Topolobampo, Choco, Leña Brava, and host of Public Television's Mexico, One Plate at a Time.
And every week, The Feed takes a deep dive into the world of professional chefs, restaurateurs, food artisans, and drink experts, sharing their stories and uncovering their passion for food and drink. But that's not all. Rick and I are always traveling the globe for our jobs, eating, drinking, and immersing ourselves in local culture. And if we find something exciting along the way, you can be sure it's going to find its way here to our James Beard Award-winning podcast. Thailand is a must-visit for any food lover, and when you go, you're probably going to start off in Bangkok, and I'm curious, how did you tackle your first visit there?
I was lucky enough to go with somebody who was raised there. She wasn't a professional tour guide by any means, but she is a food person, a food writer, and she had reached out to people she knew. And of course, we wanted to do the big things. But for me, what I remember more about that trip than going to the Grand Palace and all that was on the way to those places, we just happened onto a street market, or we would just happen by a restaurant that we would stop and talk about what they were serving. And to me, that was so educational and so cool because it wasn't a big deal stop. It was just we would walk through a market and it's like, oh yeah, what is that? And why are they making that way? Different things like that. And I found that to be really, really fascinating and wonderful. But that's Bangkok to me.
Which is important if you're going to be in that city, because that's kind of how you have to experience it, is walking around and there's an alley and, oh, what is that guy making?
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, I had my family in tow this time. My kids are 20 and 17, so no problem walking around and taking the train. We checked out 2 different companies in the city, then rehired one of them for the trip up north to Chiang Mai later in the week. We began with Smiling Albino, who picked us up at our hotel. Our first night in Bangkok begins just outside of a beloved satay shop where a guy in shorts and a long-sleeved T-shirt saying "six-pack coming soon," wears a black surgeon's mask to filter out the smoke from the charcoals burning in front of him. We're at Sawad, which means bright, and the order is chicken satay skewers with peanut sauce.
And they have been selling this almost like 60 years, and this is their third generation.
Our tour guide, Chanantrat, has an English name like most Thais and prefers we call her Nadia. She says we've got quite a few places to visit this night.
People like eat the small things and digest. 1 or 2 hours later they eat again. This is the culture of the Thai.
I'm not sure if we're just hungry, but these are seemingly the best satay skewers we've ever had. My son Max is won over.
Beautiful. Absolutely delicious.
Madeline?
Very tasty. The best chicken skewer with peanut sauce I have ever had.
And why do you think this is better? Because in America we always sort of scoff at, it's beginners, sort of entry-level chicken skewers. Here, for some reason, it's like there's a char on this, right? Because it's cooked over charcoal. They're almost seared.
Don't have a nice charcoal grill that they're grilling right in front of you. And also the peanut sauce is probably not out of a bottle. They probably make it with homemade spices and everything.
We get back in the van. Unfortunately, this tour spends an inordinate amount of time driving around in Bangkok traffic, and head to Chinatown. We happen to mention Madeline's favorite food is congee, the ubiquitous rice porridge. My resident congee expert, Madeline, how is it?
I'd say this is one of the finer bowls of congee that I've had. The grains of rice aren't supposed to be noticeable, kind of like more mushed in and soup-like, and this definitely checks those boxes.
There's no preserved egg in here. There's fresh ginger.
Ginger and cilantro, and instead of minced pork, it's big chunks of meat, but you can easily break it up, and it's very tasty.
While we're in Chinatown, we walk to Prachak to try its famous Cantonese roast pork. Then we stop near the cinema for another Chinese dish at a 50-year-old restaurant made famous by its rice noodles.
The name of the restaurant is called Uan Pochana, or the restaurant of Mr. Fat.
So they're big, wide, white rice noodles that have been rolled up into like the shape of a cigarette almost, a tube, and then those are placed into a really rich broth. I'm guessing it's chicken broth, or is it pork broth? Do you know what the broth is? Pork broth. This is our 5th or 6th stop, and I'm not sure I'm going to get any of this because my family's eating it all. Maybe we can ask the owner some questions about this.
Okay, please wait. นั่งเลยเด้งเลยเดี๋ยวสัมภาษณ์แป๊บเดียว
เป็นพริกไทยมีพริกไทยมีกระดูกหมู
The main thing is pork bones and pepper, black pepper.
เป็นเครื่องเทศของมันนี่ไม่สามารถที่จะ
Okay, and the rest they couldn't tell because it's their secret.
We then get back in the van and drive to a street lined with street vendors, all cooking and serving beneath fluorescent lights. There are 2 pad thai shops side by side. Now I see a line of Farangs, those foreigners, over here to my right. That line has got to be 50 feet long. There's a lot of people waiting in that line. Why do they get all the attention in this little place that you've taken us to as just locals?
Because they don't know. Actually, as a Thai, we come here. We come to eat the real pad Thai because the other place, we can feel like a little bit more like commercial, a lot of tourists, So we're not going to go, and we don't. We used to with the taste of the real pad Thai. The other place, like maybe like the taste is a little bit different,
What do they do with their pad thai here? How do they make it?
First, they use like the part of the crabs, like oil of the crabs, to make the color of the pad thai.
We go back and forth over this for a bit. What she means by crab oil is the innards.
The noodles called senjan, which make them special from the other places that they use only the regular rice noodles. They call senjan. So this kind of noodle made from a special place, So the noodle is like thicker than the regular one.
Now I see bean sprouts, eggs, tofu.
Yes, bean sprouts and tofu and dried shrimps. Yeah, and tamarind sauce.
Tamarind sauce. Is there dried chili back there?
Yeah.
It is the crab tamale. with some oil. It's got this really orange, deep orange colored hue that they add to the shrimp. Tons of garlic chive, pickled cabbage. Pickled cabbage?
Pickled cabbage.
Pickled cabbage, some bean sprouts, chili, some dried chili powder, onion, and then here comes a little side plate now, garnish.
Because pad thai is another thing that can make you feel very full, like or too much oil here. So that's why we have this one on this side to suck the oil out.
Banana blossom.
Like banana flowers, banana blossom.
Garlic chive, fresh bean sprouts, and some lime. Now the interesting thing, though, the way this is served, it's like an omelet enveloping the pad thai. So they put some eggs in the wok and just barely let it set. Put the pad thai on top of that, another 5 or 6 seconds, and then flipped it over. And now we've plated with the omelet on top of and around the pad thai. The consensus is this version has more complexity than those in the U.S.
Also, the colors very different. I'm sure, as you mentioned, it's got a more orangey look to it.
After the pad thai, we walk outside to grab some mango and sticky rice, then call it a night. But here's the rub. As interesting as the tour was, it's not worth $170 per person, not even close. Considering we cut it short by a few places, it's even more of a gouge. You're paying for the tour guide, who is essentially your translator, as well as the van. The food itself costs just a few bucks. Better to do your research on where to visit ahead of time and Uber around town. We're hoping for better things the next night when we take the Sky Train to meet our guide from Taste of Thailand food tours.
Nice to meet you.
Mr. Joker is our guide, and within 3 minutes, we've stumbled onto one of my favorite snacks.
ขนมเบื้อง or crispy pancake. Crispy pancake, this kind of, we can consider this is the dessert, but we will eat this at the appetizer before we have the meal.
I like your style.
Yes.
What is the crepe made from on the very bottom?
Crispy pancake, the crispy pancake made of the wheat flour.
Wheat flour, okay.
And put the cream, white cream,
Coconut cream?
egg white and sugar.
Egg white and sugar, okay.
And in the middle we put egg yolk.
But it's like a dried egg yolk. It looks shredded.
We boil egg yolk in syrup. And this kind of egg yolk we got in French from Portugal.
So it's a sweet egg yolk.
Sweet, yes, sweet.
Delicious, isn't it?
Yes.
Next stop, a skewer stand.
Shrimp, chicken, pork.
There's about 3 or 4 little tiny spheres on each skewer, and now he's just grilling them over very hot charcoals on kind of a makeshift grill here on his stall. And so what is the sauce he'll make with this? Is it like a prik nam pla?
This is a special sauce for skewer. We mix between ใส่อะไรบ้าง garlic กระเทียมใช่ไหม chili garlic lamb.
We keep walking. I like that we're not getting back into a van and enter a relatively quiet food hall. What is it called?
Bang Rak food court. Food court is like a many vendors sell the food a la carte food.
It reminds me of like a hawker center in Singapore.
Yes, same. We are copy from Singapore.
You copied it from Singapore.
It's from Singapore, but Singapore is better.
Wait, you're admitting Singapore is better?
Singapore is more nice, more cool, but Thailand try to copy from them, but it's not good enough.
So are there a couple of vendors in here that are like known for something?
Yes, of course. ไข่เยี่ยวม้าผัดกระเพรา or
Kayuma kata patakrao.
ไข่เยี่ยวม้าผัดกระเพรา
That's what I said.
ไข่เยี่ยวม้าผัดกระเพรา or stir fry century egg with holy basil leaf. The second dish we're gonna have stir fry morning glory vegetable. When Thai people have the food, one dish on the table should be vegetable, and I order stir fry morning glory is vegetable, and the third dish is panang, chicken panang.
We need to talk about what we just ate here for a second. That morning glory, first of all, it looks like they're very long stems and leaves, so we tried to take a little bit off, but a lot of it comes together. It kind of reminded me of a very thin, light, delicate Chinese broccoli, but it had more of a, I don't know, this beguiling sort of floral flavor to it. It just really delicious. Just stir-fried simply. The Penang chicken, excellent. But this century egg was interesting too. It had like these crunchy vegetables and cauliflower and I think more basil too. A lot of basil. We had some fried basil with the Penang. But then they brought out the roti with the bananas and the egg. I mean, come on.
I mean, exceptional.
I've never had anything like that, have you?
No, never. And it's warm. It melts on your tongue.
Can we get that in Chicago, you think? Can somebody set up a business for us?
Let's do it.
That was really delicious. We got to pace ourselves. I'm a little nervous. We're only like 4 or 5 bites in, and I'm like, what do you think? Can you get room?
Yeah, I'm going to save it. I'm going to save up.
You need the whole thing. Next up, a tiny restaurant, no more than 3 tables, where we try Isan-style dishes from northeast Thailand. Joker says we don't use spoon and fork here, not even chopsticks, but rather our hands, because sticky rice is the typical vehicle for scooping up food. Som tam, my favorite papaya salad, is up first.
The second one, this is called yam takrai or lemongrass salad. The third one we call lap mu, minced pork salad.
Okay, so something that I just learned from Mr. Joker about the use or not use of prik nam pla. Prik nam pla is that condiment you see everywhere in Bangkok. It's finely chopped prik, Thai chilies, and fish sauce. And I put that on everything. But he said, no, northeastern food, like this lap, this lemongrass salad, and the som tam, you would only have either this dried, sort of pulverized chili flake or fresh lime, and that's it. So I learned something tonight too. The prik nam pla that I love would typically only be had on a curry. And I guess we're going to get green curry next. And you're loving this, by the way, aren't you, Mike?
Beautiful. Oh, I love the spice.
So you're adding a lot of the dried chili to your salads here.
To everything.
And the cool thing about the sticky rice, Madeline, you said is, well, he showed us how to use the sticky rice, right?
Yeah, so they came over in these little cylindrical baskets, and there's sticky rice inside of them, and you take it and you shape it into a ball in your hand, a little bit of it, and then press down in the middle with your thumb until it kind of forms a bowl, and then you're going to take it and scoop up, whatever type of dish you want into the sticky rice, and then eat that whole.
Our final stop of the night is at a charming local restaurant, somewhat upscale, called Tan Ying. We are here for just a few things, mainly a green chicken curry with crunchy Thai eggplants. Joker then recaps the entire night for us, reminding us of everything we tried.
We first start with the khanom beung or crispy pancake.
The price of this tour, about $46 plus tip for the guide, but clearly a much better deal than the previous night. We liked it so much, in fact, that we booked Taste of Thailand again a few days later in Chiang Mai.
721 years ago. It's quite long. And when you see from here, this is the wall, the old wall.
We meet our guide near the north gate of the old city. We don't have to walk very far for our first stop. It's the cowboy hat lady I saw on Bourdain's show, rhythmically whacking up pieces of slow-cooked pork leg for a dish called khao kha mu. It's sort of like the Thai version of carnitas, served with a side of white rice and surrounded by a half-dozen eggs, all sliced in half, revealing their bright orange yolks. Delicious. Just a few yards away, another stall serving a sweet Chinese-inspired dish called boloi.
This one is they make the green one with the pepper, some of the taro, and
the coconut milk in there, coconut
yes,
cream?
And this one is a coconut milk, and yes, and then they cook together. But this one is an egg.
Oh wow, an
chicken egg.
Okay.
So yeah, please come this way.
And it's served warm, obviously. And then do you put these toppings on it? There looks like there's a lot of different. It's a red bean,
yes, so
jackfruit,
yes.
Candied fruit. It looks like licorice, taro,
yes.
mung bean, or corn. Wow.
Yes.
To get around Chiang Mai, we jump into a small red truck with 2 benches in the back. They're everywhere. So what do you call this vehicle again?
Which one? Song Thao.
Song Thao.
Or Rot Dang.
There are 2 rows of benches in the back, and the back of the vehicle is totally open, so you can see the traffic out there. but these are all over Chiang Mai. We then try hamok, a steamed fish curry in a banana leaf, and find ourselves in a large market at a long table, groaning with fresh herbs, chilies, and condiment jars. We try kanom jin, a spicy noodle dish with some unfamiliar ingredients. Okay, so I recognized inside one of the bowls of kanom jin small little black squares. That's pork blood, right?
Yes, pork butt.
Usually I see that in dishes in America at Thai restaurants called like boat noodle soup. They do
Yes, and they have pork blood, yes.
Our final stop brings us to a Muslim-owned business where the woman is making beef biryani served over rice rather than mixed into it, with a chili sauce on the side and some fresh cucumbers. We also try khao man gai, the Thai version of Hainanese chicken rice, poached until tender. And to finish things off, dessert. Hot soy milk crullers or donuts, which remind me of something called youtiao in China, with a little dip of, you said it's kaya, which is pandan leaf and coconut and egg?
Yes.
You dip the donuts into that jam?
You dip the donut, but in Thailand we call pa thong po. It's similar with the donut, but not much taste. Yeah.
The tour is finished after about 3 hours. We've eaten and seen plenty, but our guide is clearly not as comfortable speaking English and is constantly asking the vendors for clarifications in response to my questions. It's a fine tour if you're a casual eater, but if you really want to gain a fuller understanding of the ingredients and cooking techniques, it's probably not the best way to go. Still, for the price, it is hard to beat, and you get the bonus of a built-in translator for the night. Now, you may have noticed we did not include any khao soy on our Chiang Mai leg of the trip. That's the famous bowl of coconut milk.
You're passionate about khao soy.
Because I talked to a separate person and got a list of 4 different places that we went to outside of the tours. I didn't want to waste the tours with potentially other people. But I wanted to really dig deep. And so we did, believe me, we did 2 breakfasts one morning and we did another 2 lunches another day. And we went to a different neighborhood in Chiang Mai where there's this Muslim community that had, so fascinating. The story of khao soy, just really quickly, it means it's a way of cutting those handmade rice noodles. And so we found this place where they're actually hand cutting those noodles, and it does have these Burmese influences in the way the curry is, but also Muslim, and it was a Muslim Thai community on the other side of Chiang Mai that this friend of ours who was visiting from Bangkok had asked around and found. And it was, honestly, it was like the last bowl we had in Chiang Mai, and it was the best thing we had. So we did do a separate...
I have to learn about that one because I've been to Chiang Mai several times because I have a cousin that lives there, but I've never been to that community.
I'll show you on my Instagram. I posted a couple of things, but that was really... So anyway, we didn't do this on the tours, but I would recommend you look at what I've done or what you've done on Instagram. We told the guide ahead of time it wasn't necessary for the tour, but moral of the story in Thailand, at least with our experience, was go with Taste of Thailand and skip Smiling Albino. All right, coming up next, a trip to Cambodia highlighted by a wild ride on the back of a Vespa after dark, including my first taste of cricket, silkworm, and baby frog. Stay with us.
Be a part of the culinary conversation by following us on Facebook/The Feed Podcast.
Arrive at the meal late? Check out previous episodes, get recipes from ingredient challenges, and see behind-the-scenes pictures at thefeedpodcast.com.
Welcome back to the show, everybody. So scooter tours in Southeast Asia are a thing. Exo tours, Vespa Adventures, and the reason being traffic. Scooters are able to get around traffic much faster. They're also more fun than riding in a van, obviously. And since the temperature is either hot or inferno, you don't have to worry about being chilly on the back of a bike. And someone else drives, by the way. There's no way in hell I would drive one of those bikes.
No, I understand that. But it seems like that we've always taken those tuk-tuks, but those are too big to dart in and out.
Yeah.
So the Vespa was the way to go.
Yeah, because I had read about Vespa Adventures, and then somebody had sent me a thing of like best food tours in the world, and XO Tours was on there. And so, I hired Vespa for a night in Siem Reap in Cambodia. The night before, we had to get up at sunrise to go see Angkor Wat, which, by the way, overrated going up at sunrise to see Angkor Wat. Too many people. 4 young gentlemen in orange T-shirts and helmets were waiting for us promptly at 6 p.m. in front of our hotel. Vespa Adventures runs about a dozen tours in Vietnam, another 5 in Cambodia. We signed up for the Siem Reap After Dark Foodie Tour, which runs $72 per person. The drivers pick us up at our hotel, give us our helmets, then whisk us off to the FCC, that is the Foreign Correspondence Club, where we start with a drink, some salty snacks, and meet our tour guide for the night.
This is built the first bar in Siem Reap province since 2003. But before it's just a local, like a small girly bar only. But now they changed as a 5-star. With just all group tours coming to join the meeting here.
What's a typical nighttime food tour? How many places will we see probably?
We will stop around 6 places different. And then next we go to the local market that show you what's happened for the local by the market. Later on we will show you about the culture in the shrines, that the famous one in Cambodia, in Siem Reap, the shrines. Later on we will go to local night market that just for local only, and show you about how the local eat insects. We try with the frog, barbecue frogs and barbecue chicken, that is for snacks. 80% of tourists will try this, even a little bit, yes. But 20% if they are so scary, so if they just look and take the pictures.
We're not scared.
You're not scared, so you can try everything that we will show you.
We start off with passion fruit drinks, a beer, and a tiny palm-sized snack assembled in a dark green betel leaf.
So our snack we call mung. That is just a snack we just like making from betel leaf. And the chicken, the white one is chickens. So you can see the brown one is peanut and ginger. It's not grapefruit, it's pomelo, yeah. Someone say grapefruit, but not. It's a pomelo. So you have to sweet together to mix.
It reminds us of miang kham we had in Thailand.
Yeah,
a little different.
Same, yeah. We call that is called miang kham, but here we call only miang.
We strap on our helmets and cruise through the central part of Siem Reap. It's a lot busier than we expected, but most of the tourists here are just biding their time until they do the full-day temple tours at Angkor Wat. We pass by Pub Street, a noisy lane of bars and clubs, and come to a busy night market teeming with tourists all looking for a bargain. There are dozens of stalls here, some with clothing, many selling dried local fruits and spices.
So here we are at Sacha. Sacha in English said the old market. Because this is very old market. It's long time ago dropped this market in 1920. So before it's because here is central. And then most people just live around here. In Siem Reap, very big, but the most central is here. It's peanuts, and with the coffin leaf, lemongrass,
dried chili,
yeah, to make it nicer smell, and good choice with snack with beer.
And what is this beer we're drinking?
It's Angkor beer. It's Cambodia Angkor beer that long times ago brewed in Cambodia. So Angkor beer, not Anchor. This is Angkor because we had 2 different beer. Angkor and Anchor.
After a bit of shopping, we get back on the bikes and drive about 20 minutes outside of town to what looks like a nighttime carnival. Our guide says this goes on every night with local families coming to eat and go on some of the kiddie rides they've set up. We walk right up to a vendor selling baskets of fried insects. So what is here? We have crickets, silkworm,
water beetle, baby frogs, and grasshopper.
And they've all just been deep fried, flash fried?
Yeah, all deep fried behind there. You can see deep fried, yeah.
And you said that locals eat this all the time as snacks or as meals?
It's a snack, it's not a meal. A snack and some drinks, beer and rice wine.
And it looks like there's something they would serve with it. Is it peanut or chili?
This is to make it nice meal with just this is onion, green onion
and chili.
And chilies and the garlic.
Fried garlic.
Yeah, deep fried garlic.
Paper so I can make
this is a silkworm?
make a fresh roll.
No, they just deep fry. You know.
Silkworm is pretty good.
Yeah.
It actually has kind of a peanutty taste to it,
yeah.
like a peanut. Like a peanut. I got to try one of these.
So now you try cricket. Yes.
Okay, cricket. Channeling my inner Andrew Zimmern.
And earthy, little crispy, little earthy, little salty.
Yeah, it is. The cricket is it's got kind of a weird funkiness to it. I can't describe it.
It's like a shrimp. You got to peel the shell off, right?
Yeah, it's a little bit saline. It's a shrimpy, squiddy, dried, salty, but not too salty. I think you just have to get over the appearance. It's really, you're eating with your eyes so many times. And I think if you put that in your mouth blind, you'd be like, oh, it's kind of like a shrimp cracker. But looking at a mound of fried crickets is a little bit...
Exactly, yeah.
Beer and fried insects is a good combo, I think.
I personally like the cricket better than the worm.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. I won't hold that against you.
It's more crispy. It's got a little more taste.
It does.
How about the grasshopper?
Grasshopper, really?
You go first.
I gotta eat a whole grass. That's a big grasshopper, dude. That's like the size of my thumb. I could eat that whole thing.
I take the leg out because the leg have sworn. I'm just worried it's stuck your throat.
Now it just looks like shrimp.
Yeah.
All right, I'll eat it. Whole thing?
Yeah, the whole thing. Yeah.
Yeah, it's crispy. I don't know what it tastes like. Cricket, I guess, with a little soup con of silkworm.
I'll try one without the legs.
Yeah, take out
The grasshopper sans legs is not bad.
Hold on.
I need a beer. My daughter is just looking at us like we're insane. But when in Rome.
Is this one different than the other one?
Now you try the baby.
Baby frog.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Oh, I feel bad
That's
for
like a whole baby
I'm
frog.
dancing frog. Dancing frog.
Well, because I like frog's legs.
And?
So I'm thinking, okay, this has a much different flavor. More amphibious. Definitely more amphibious.
What do you mean by that?
There's more poultry flavor.
More poultry. Okay,
Yeah.
I'll try it.
Yeah, it's got a...
Mom, can you take a picture?
Yeah, the insects don't have a lot going on for them, I think. They just have like a hint of something, but this actually tastes like it could be chicken in another planet. So we walked over here a few yards from the insects, and I want to just talk. There's a big grill here in front of us with lots of charcoal embers and a lot of items that are already on skewers that are partially cooked, but they're going to finish cooking them for us, right?
Yes. So first it's like 90% cooked. When we select it again, there are like 20% more to cook.
There's a whole butterfly chicken. There's quail. There's is this liver or heart?
A liver and the stomach of ducks. Yeah.
And then there's chicken wings. Chicken ball, chicken wing. Another one is like we call in Cambodia like cheese, but we mix a lot of with the porks and mushroom and turmeric and lemongrass and pack in the banana leaf and grill it. Yeah. Okay, so we chose a couple things. He's finishing the grilling. What is he brushing on them once they're on the grill?
Oyster sauce.
And oyster sauce.
Yeah, oyster sauce to make more flavor.
Typical extra condiments in Cambodia would be chili
sauce,
chili,
sweet and sour sauce.
Yeah. Any fish sauce?
We don't like fish sauce because it's so strong. Fish sauce we already mix before we cooking.
It's interesting because they love fish sauce in Vietnam. They love fish sauce in Thailand. You're kind of in the middle. But you say no fish sauce in this country.
We have the fish sauce, but the way how we eat and how we eat is different way.
We jump back on the bikes for the ride back into town, where we make our penultimate stop at a busy fluorescent-lit restaurant, where local teens and families are hovered over steaming cauldrons on their tables. Is a restaurant called Soup Bitter Melon?
Yes.
So it looks like, when looking in the menu, it looks like they do hot pot. You buy a set of, like, you pick your vegetables, meats you want, and then they give you broth.
Hot pot, but we call Cambodian called soup. Yeah, because you say a hot pot in English, but Cambodian soup usually. Yeah.
And you choose what you want to cook in it.
No, they set everything up.
But they also have some other dishes here in the back of the menu, I noticed, like the rice lok lak and the mama noodles.
Lok lak is a selection for Cambodian food too.
So what is this on the table here?
So
Squid?
Fried vegetable with squid and green peppercorn.
Oh, the green peppercorn we've seen in the market.
We see in the market, yeah.
They just said that this looks like, again, a very large amok, but here it's called amok.
Yeah, this is amok fish. That's the way how they do, because amok have many styles to do it, but the originally is amok steam, not amok curry, amok soup. Yeah.
It's steamed catfish?
Yeah, steamed catfish, yeah.
The catfish is combined with turmeric, which gives it that yellow color, coconut milk and eggs, scented with local noni leaves, and then poured into a banana leaf cup to steam.
Not nearly as spicy. The amok is not nearly as spicy as the Thai version of hamok.
Final stop of the night, above a karaoke bar where we sit on low cushions sipping large cocktails.
Do Cambodians like karaoke?
Cambodians really like karaoke, but
We then sample tiny glasses filled with various rice wines that have been infused with coconut or banana and cinnamon. We're stuffed, tired, and facing the prospect of getting up for a sunrise visit to Angkor Wat, so we politely say our goodbyes and get a ride back to the hotel. All in all, a great adventure after dark, so we decide to book another Vespa adventure when we're in Saigon later that week. So the funny thing was we were just talking about during this segment, when I ate those insects, I tweeted a picture to Andrew Zimmern, Mr. Bizarre Foods, and I said, we're channeling our inner Zimmern. And like right away he got back and he said, those don't look bad actually, but make sure you try the bat. I'm not eating bat on this trip.
Wow.
Yeah,
I didn't know people ate bat.
I guess they do. But the funny thing was we walk across the road from where we had the insects, and we had the most delicious grilled quail and chicken thigh and stuffed frog actually, which was really delicious. They stuffed a frog with like sausage. It was great. It was very different than Thailand, obviously.
Yeah.
All right, so stay with us. The food tours continue in Vietnam, where bikes are the theme, from high-speed scooters through the streets of Saigon to pedaling through the Mekong Delta. We'll be right back.
Have a beef with something you heard? Looking for a little extra side dish? Let us know on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram at The Feed Podcast.
See photos, get links to previous stories, or just let us know what you think. Contact us on our website, thefeedpodcast.com.
Welcome back to the show, everybody. As much as we were excited about eating around the streets of Bangkok, we felt that Saigon was even more thrilling. Crab soup, grilled goat, mung bean crepes, and of course pho and banh mi sandwiches. By the way, banh mi sandwiches, $1.50.
And good ones?
$1.50, amazing. The bread, as you'd expect, in that French tradition, kind of reminded me of a New Orleans French bread. Like they're really crispy on the outside, super light and pillowy inside.
Right.
And then they would either be with all the head cheese and the pork roll, or they would do grilled sausage patties that were like fragrant with lemongrass and ginger, and $1.50.
You are making me so hungry.
We should do a tour to Vietnam. I'm telling you, we could spend a solid week in Saigon.
I've never been, and that's the next place on my list.
Toronto and then Vietnam. All right.
Okay.
Everywhere. They're just everywhere, from alleys to storefronts. There are also a number of companies willing to take you around various districts. So there's one called Saigon Street Eats. We'd heard of, we didn't do that one. Also Vespa Adventures. And then XO Tours. The latter had been recommended by someone as one of the best food companies in the world. So we signed up for a private tour, and we were picked up on our first night at 5:30 promptly outside of our hotel by 4 of the kindest, funniest, whip-smart 20-somethings we'd ever met. We signed up for XO's foodie tour in Ho Chi Minh City. The 4.5-hour nighttime excursion costs $75 per person, and if you're staying in districts 1, 3, or 5, they'll pick you up at your hotel. The highly rated company is unique in that all of the drivers/tour guides are young women dressed in long blue and white traditional Vietnamese áo dai dresses with white XO Tours helmets.
Hey, my name is Mai.
Hi. Nong, Ha, To, and Mai are all waiting outside our hotel and greet us with wide smiles.
We just want to know, is this a tour for tourists, or is this a tour for people who really want to dive deep into Vietnamese food?
Second choice.
Okay.
Yeah.
So just only take you to local and no tourists there.
Perfect.
Great.
And if you see the tourists, there's people in our company.
They promise to take you to at least 5 different districts in Saigon to really see a different side of the city. But first, some housekeeping. They go over any dietary restrictions, likes and dislikes, and proper bike mounting.
So when you get on and off the bike, remember to do it on the left-hand side because the exhaust pipe from the right side is very hot. It can burn your legs, so you don't want to have the Saigon tattoo here, right?
Let's take a road.
And we're off, immediately zigzagging through hectic Saigon traffic. Where there are no stoplights, we simply merge into oncoming traffic gently to turn or change lanes. There are dozens of near collisions, but the women navigate masterfully. We see families of 4 and 5 all jammed onto Vespas, many wearing face masks to protect them from the smog. It's exhilarating. By the time we get to our first stop, we're ravenous. It's a small stall specializing in bun bo hui, a soup from the city of Quail.
And you know, in this restaurant, they put the pineapple into the soup to help tenderize the meat. Yeah.
These noodles are also different than rice stick noodles.
Yeah, it's different. Like this one is it's not a flat noodle like pho, so it's bigger. It's a round noodle, and it doesn't get soaky when it sits in the soup for a long time.
They sometimes put pork blood cake in here also.
No, we do not have blood cake here. Yeah, it's in another noodle soup.
But then the garnishes are interesting.
We serve you with 3 different kind of vegetables. So the white one is bean sprout. And can you guess that this one? What is it?
Banana blossom?
Shredded banana flour.
Oh.
Banana flour. And right there we have water spinach, or we call that morning glory. All right, so no set rule for how much you add into your soup. You can add as little or as much as you want. This is a homemade sauteed chili oil with garlic.
I'm ready.
So only made for this dish. But you know, it's quite spicy, so just add a little at a time. This is very spicy, huh?
Can we just have a little huddle quickly?
Oh, yes.
How good was that bun bo hui?
So tasty, just nothing like I've ever had before.
Mellow, simple, and yet amazing.
Clean.
Light.
Yeah. I swallowed the whole bowl, I think.
Yeah, you took that
couldn't
bowl
help.
and you just...
And I like the morning glory and the banana flour. Those are nice. The shredded, yeah.
And the accompaniment of
The tea?
Of the tea is very nice.
We're off to a good start here with XO. Okay. We hop back on the bikes. The ladies are very clear about guests holding onto the rear rack rather than around their waists, and we cruise through the city as the sun sets. Over bridges, down neon-lit side streets, and into District 5, where the vendors in Chinatown have laid out their goods that cover nearly every inch of the sidewalk and curb.
A lot of people, they don't know that, but the Chinatown in Saigon is one of the largest in the world, with 600,000 Cantonese people live here. 600,000.
How many districts are there?
We have all 24 districts, like 12 by numbers and the other 12 by letter, by words.
The variety of tropical fruits is staggering. We ask the girls to buy a few things so we can try them at the next restaurant. So are all these fruits just eaten out of hand, or do people cook with them?
Oh no, we're not cook with them. Like we eat it directly.
I mean, the dragon fruit is so dramatic.
We just cut it up and enjoy it.
Rose apple. Different types of rose apples. Mango. What's this?
Sabodila.
Sabodila.
Yeah, it's not the same color inside. It has the seeds inside, the black seeds.
Guava, yep.
Yeah.
Papaya.
Underwear.
Underwear, right. And flowers. And it just goes on and on here along the side of the road here, all throughout Chinatown?
Yeah, it's all the Chinatown.
You were saying that this is where people come District 5 to buy everything and then bring it to District 1 to the Bend market that everybody knows about, the tourists, and they charge them a lot more money there.
Yeah, they charge it higher than the normal price.
Sausages, Chinese sausage, dried shrimp, dried fish, bok choy, green beans. We jump back on the bikes, heading into a different district where there are a number of large barbecue restaurants. By large, I mean tented spaces with long tables, small plastic chairs, and portable charcoal grills every few feet. The tour guides are also our assistants, doing all the cutting, prepping, and grilling for us while we sip on ice-cold Saigon beers. That is goat breast marinated in...
We marinate it with tofu sauce and Coca-Cola to make it sweeter and softer.
And it looks like okra on the side.
Yeah, okra. And here we serve you the grilled okra.
And you're tearing up some basil.
Yeah, this is a basil. We're going to introduce you later with all the...
And the two sauces on the side here, one is a fermented tofu.
Sauce with chili oil on the top. And this is a chili rock salt with kumquat.
Oh, that sounds great.
Okay, so while waiting, you try the grilled okra right there. We marinate it with the tofu sauce. So you dip into the tofu sauce right there.
One of the dishes they set down before us is a seriously delicious, crispy, savory crepe. I have to ask you this other thing that we just had, the bun
which it reminded me of a ban xiao, which is that rice
Actually,
crepe.
the ban xiao is a southern version, the big southern version,
Right.
and that one in the middle region.
So this is like it was a little cup about the width of my hand.
Yeah.
And inside was mung bean and carrot and turmeric.
Yeah, it's
for
a
the yellow
mixture
color.
of turmeric,
Right.
rice flour.
No meat, no pork, no shrimp.
No meat, no pork.
Okay, and
Vegetarian one.
and you wrap it in what type of a leaf?
It's a lettuce, and the other side over there is a mustard leaf. And
Okay.
we're gonna dip into the sweet sauce
into
with
the-
pickle, carrot, and sugar.
And
water.
fish sauce. Yeah.
No, it's not fish sauce.
No fish sauce.
It's a sweet sauce.
Sweet sauce.
Because it's a vegetarian one, so not with fish sauce.
Ah, okay, okay. It's delicious, by the way. It's just so delicious. It's nong lam.
Ngon lam.
Nong lam. Delicious. Another 15 minutes or so in traffic, and we're in District 4 on Seafood Street. Every restaurant here has communal tables with families and groups of friends sitting around live-fired charcoal grills, cooking scallops, clams, and shrimp. We're in the Wan restaurant near the street. Is it all seafood restaurants here?
Yeah, all seafood restaurant here.
Notice a lot of places just have grills going with live charcoal constantly. All the grilling is done over live charcoal.
Yeah, it's all by charcoal one.
But this first thing we're having on the table here.
Quail at the first.
Quail.
Yeah,
Okay.
first dish. So we grill with honey, chili, and garlic, and you dip into the tamarind sauce.
And besides the tamarind sauce, a couple of other sauces here on the
So
side.
This one is a black pepper chili sauce we mix with the squeeze of kumquat. You mix it up and try it with the crab.
I don't think people in America realize when they see a little dish of black pepper and salt and some limes, you're supposed to squeeze the lime into this to make a little paste. And then you've added some chili to give it some heat. And then next to it, is this also fish sauce?
This is a sweet sauce with chili and like the kumquat as well. Yeah, so
Okay.
we take the seeds out for you guys with scallop.
The ladies meticulously crack crab claws for us that have been stir-fried in chili, salt, and pepper. We dip the meat into that ubiquitous paste of black pepper and fresh lime juice. More snacks arrive. Scallops in the shell doused in crushed peanuts, grilled quail, rice cakes.
This is a deep fried rice crackers.
With like pork floss on top of
Pork floss and tiny shrimp.
Tiny shrimp.
Normally we have the green onion, but Amy cannot have onion, so we're not putting it on
And you're
top.
putting on some of the sweet chili sauce.
Yeah, the sweet chili sauce.
But there's
on
no
top.
fish sauce in this.
This is a fish sauce.
What is fish sauce?
It is.
But it's sweet with there's sugar in there and chili.
Chili.
Okay.
Okay, let's try some.
Hey, what do you guys think so far of this tour?
I really like it. It's very immersive, and we're very immersed in the Vietnamese culture, I think.
A total explosion of your senses when you travel on the Vespa and you're paying attention to everything that's going on.
And there's a lot going on around us, right?
All the time, every second. From the babies riding on the Vespas to dogs to people carrying packages. So
Nearly missing other cars and bikes.
Exactly.
Like, you get to a restaurant and you're like, thank God I survived.
Basically.
Our shock value course arrives next. Balut.
Before I put this into my mouth, what is this?
This is our duck embryo, so we call that balut.
Balut. Yeah.
So with the modern version, after we stir fry, we put some tamarind sauce and peanuts on the top. So this is the yolk. I'm gonna show you this.
This is the kind of stuff my colleague at the Tribune, Louisa Chu, and my friend Monica Ng love to eat. Anything that's sort of challenging, right? Challenging your senses. All right, so this is the duck embryo. Oh, sure. Oh, it's great.
Not bad.
The peanuts are nice. And there's like a sweet, is it a tamarind sauce too?
Tamarind sauce.
Yeah, that mitigates some of the funkiness, I think. Oh, now
This is the baby part.
Oh, now you're really getting into there. Is that hair? What the hell is that?
It's a tamarind one. Baby.
Oh, I can see the head and the face. Oh, that's really appetizing. Okay. And I'm supposed to eat the whole thing?
Do you want a picture?
I'm going to take a picture of that.
As we wind down on our last stop, they serve a few desserts. Not exactly the craveable sticky rice and mango or Thai custards we'd fallen in love with previously, but also quite mild, maybe a tad boring. What's the other dessert over here?
This is a steamed rice cake with a sesame seed on the top of it.
But there's one that's green and one that's purple.
Oh, is it all the same one?
But is the green from Pandan?
Oh, no, it's just the same taste.
The night is a success. Everyone felt an immersion that went far beyond just visiting a local banh mi or pho joint. No doubt the scooter experience is the way to see Saigon, but if you can squeeze in a half dozen great places to eat, all the better. And we also did a Vespa Adventures one night. It's called the Saigon After Dark Tour. There were only a few eating stops. A lot of great touring around the city at night. It's a great way to see Saigon, like from the back of a bike.
I want to understand this. Each person, because there were 4, is on the back of their own. I mean, they have their own driver.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Yes. They said EXO's got like 65 tour guides, drivers.
Wow.
So they're drivers and tour guides, and they're not only that, but they're sitting next to us and they're cutting up the food and they're grilling the goat for us and translating and getting shots for us. And
I think to have one tour guide for 4 people would be almost extravagant, but you had 1-to-1.
Yeah. Yeah. And now normally they will do groups. But again, you 1-to-1 because they have to drive you.
Yeah.
But we opted for the private, which I would recommend for like $30 more per person is worth getting the private one. And just the amount of food, just perfect. So another great tour I want to mention before we go, Grasshopper Adventures, a relatively new company. They offer quite a few biking tours, that's pedaling, in Thailand and Vietnam. We took their Mekong Delta tour. Rick, it was one of the best biking tours I've done backroads tours in the West Coast. These guys, they pick us up. They drive you about an hour south of the city. Beautiful bikes waiting for you. Water bottles, the whole thing. They take you, and it's very gentle through the Mekong River Delta, and you go through rice paddies and fields and workers' homes, and they stop at somebody for a little snack, and we stopped at this woman's home. You can imagine, I mean, you've done this a million times in Mexico, but this woman had made lunch for us out on her patio, overlooking the rice field, and it's grilled chicken and pork and beautiful, like the best fried Vietnamese egg rolls spring rolls you've ever had, and just fragrant rice and fresh squeezed limeade, and I took pictures.
Jealous.
It's one of those things you just never forget.
Yeah.
So Grasshopper Adventures was a great experience.
And how long was the bike tour?
Probably 2 hours. It was 25 kilometers.
Oh, so not that far.
So 2.5 hours maybe. Yeah, it was perfect. It's all right. Coming up next week, we get into the spirit of Japanese drinking just in time for Foundation Day, which celebrates the founding of the nation on February 11th.
Now I wanted to go into the really weird side of some things that are happening in Japan.
We'll learn more about Japanese whiskey and sake so that you can kampai like a pro at your next izakaya. That's next week on the show. You can always contact us on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter at The Feed Podcast. You can also check out our ingredient challenges, get recipes and other information about previous shows by simply visiting our website, thefeedpodcast.com. And don't forget to subscribe and please rate our show on iTunes. And be sure to follow me at Rick_Bayless.
And I'm at Steve Dolinsky with a Y. More information about the tours we talked about today on our website as well. Linnea Dominic's our production assistant. Max Dolinsky supervised today's music. Bureaucratic wrote and performed our theme song. And The Feed Podcast is edited by the one and only Matt Cunningham at Truthful Enthusiasm. Whether you're an individual or institution, get your story online with truthfulenthusiasm.com. Thanks for listening, everybody.